Hi, everyone, and welcome to our 5-minute Bible study series. Let me check to see if my audio is actually recording. Okay, we're good. Welcome to our Bible study series. Today we're talking about 1 Chronicles chapter 16, and this PDF that you're seeing on the screen is available for free on our website if you'd like to get a copy for yourself. When was 1 Chronicles written? Well, it was written a couple hundred years after David reigned as king in Israel. What does First Chronicles record? What's it talk about? Well, the first 9 chapters are about genealogies. Chapters 10 through 29 are about the reign of King David. So it's written in the future, but it records history, it records David's reign. Now, the events in chapter 16 specifically took place about 3 months after the events in chapter 13. If you remember chapter 13, Uzzah touched the Ark of the Covenant when they were transporting it from Kiriath-Jearim to Jerusalem, and God killed him because nobody was allowed to touch the Ark. Now the Ark has been brought into Jerusalem. This is 3 months after the tragedy of Uzzah. Let's make quick mention of our key characters. First, we have David, the second king of Israel and Judah. We have Obed-Edom. The Ark of the Covenant was kept in his house for 3 months after the death of Uzzah. And he also plays a significant role in this chapter as well, in the future work of the Ark of the Covenant and God's worship. We have a guy named Asaph. He was a Levite musician who David appointed to sing songs of praise and thanksgiving to God. And then Zadok. Zadok was the priest who oversaw worship at the tabernacle. We haven't mentioned the tabernacle in a while, so if you don't remember, the tabernacle was a special tent that was originally constructed during the days of Moses, where God's presence often dwelt and where his worship took place. The sacrifices, the offering of the incense, the Ark of the Covenant was in the tabernacle for a long time, and so that's what the tabernacle is about. Now, as far as our map goes, David moved the Ark of the Covenant from Kiriath-Jearim to Jerusalem. It completed its journey in chapter 15. The tabernacle, however, we're told remained at Gibeon, which you'll be able to see on the map. Now, you'll remember in chapter 15 that David brought the Ark of the Covenant from the house of Obed-Edom to Jerusalem, and he invited all of the Israelites to join him for this celebration in Jerusalem. So that's kind of where we're picking up. Our first section in this chapter, verses 1 through 6, the Ark of the Covenant is put in Jerusalem. So David put the Ark of the Covenant in a special tent that he had prepared for it. When the priests had finished offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, David gave a gift to all of the people, a gift of bread, meat, raisin cakes. I'm going to give that chicken to someone to eat. David appointed a group of Levites to invoke, to thank, and to praise the Lord before the ark. They were to do this in part through singing and playing on their instruments. And Asaph, who we just mentioned our character section, Asaph was put in charge of the musicians. He was chief musician. Section number 2, verses 7 through 36 is somewhat unique. Asaph's song of thanksgiving. The words of one of Asaph's songs of thanksgiving are recorded in verses 8 through 36. So I want to highlight some of the major themes that he talks about. The song thanks God for his kindness to Israel and praises him for the miracles that he had done. It mentions God's faithfulness in fulfilling his promises to Jacob, to give Jacob's descendants the land of Canaan. It recalls God's protection over his people when their enemies tried to oppress them. It exalts the God of Israel above all of the idols of the pagan nations. And then finally, it encouraged the people to give glory to the Lord and to worship him, quote, in the splendor of holiness, verse 29. And now finally, section number 3, verses 37 through 43, Levites are chosen to care for the ark and for the tabernacle. Asaph and his brothers were put in charge of the ministry at the Ark of the Covenant. Obed-Edom and his brothers were made gatekeepers. Zadok and his brothers went to Gibeon to the tabernacle, and they were responsible for offering the daily sacrifices that were prescribed in the law of God. When the ark was in its tent and all the festivities had ended, then all of the Israelites dispersed from Jerusalem and they returned to their homes. The application today is somewhat short, but I think songwriting, the application's about songwriting, I don't think that gets talked about enough. And I also don't think there are enough good songwriters in the church. There are a lot of kind of like pop culture worship music writers, but let's talk about our application. The Song of Asaph is a good model for modern songwriters who aspire to write worship music. It's deep, it's theologically rich, and it's substantial in content. And that's not always the case with modern songs. It's a song that praises God while at the same time reminding the singer why God is worthy of that praise. This is the kind of music that the church needs if it's going to thrive in the future. I think we often don't give our songs and our lyrics enough attention, and it's an important part of the life of the church and the worship of God.